Hi, I'm Jessica Marksbury for Golf.com, joined by FootJoy President Jim Connor. And Jim, thank you so much for your time today. Hard to believe, almost 30 years with FootJoy. When you look back on your tenure, is there anything that you're particularly proud of?
Well, that's a good question, Jessica. I've had a lot of ups and downs with the brand over the 28 years. Probably my proudest is being a part of the DryJoy revolution that was created in 1989. A second part of that is building some factories in Asia that needed to be done. FootJoy is very proud of its manufacturing heritage, and while we manufactured in the U.S. for many, many years, we needed to move into Asia as well. So we built vertical operations in both footwear and gloves that are operating today. And I guess the last thing would be our entry into outerwear and apparel.
So many facets of the business now, as you mentioned, the shoes, the gloves, the socks, the apparel. How hard is it to maintain excellence across all those categories?
That's a great question. I think it's really been embedded in our heritage. You know, the brand is 85 years old. We made our first shoe over 106 years ago. It really comes from a preoccupation with the product first. So we try and look for the finest materials, finest process, and make sure that the quality and the performance of that product meets the expectation of the golfer. So we apply that principle to, it started in footwear, but we apply it to every category. It was applied to gloves, and that certainly made FootJoy the #1 glove over a very short period of time. And now we're applying it obviously into our socks, our outerwear, and our apparel category. So each category has to live up to that heritage and that performance and quality promise that we make to the golfer throughout our entire range.
Of course, I know footwear is the priority for FootJoy. Now, footwear has changed so much, especially just in the last 5 to 7 years. We're seeing spikeless becoming, I think, even more saleable now than spiked models. How has that affected your business?
The footwear category, I used to say was an evolution. It's now a revolution. So every year we're remaking our line by 60 to 70% that is turned over or changed to keep up with the pace of change. Certainly the styling has changed dramatically, but as you point out, the construction as well. Spikeless is an important part of the business. Cleated products though today, using soft spikes is still over 50% of the business worldwide, and I think it'll continue to be that way because we believe that in the end, traction on the golf course is best provided by renewable traction, cleats that you can change out as they wear out.
There's always something exciting going on at FootJoy, and from a personal standpoint, this year especially, a women's line making its debut. That's got to feel really good.
We decided that we had been dabbling in the women's market for too long. We offered some outerwear and some apparel garments, but they were not really a full line, and they certainly weren't a credible attempt to do that properly, and we decided that this was a year to do that. So yes, we are launching a brand new category called Golf Leisure for women, which we think is going to be a home run. We certainly have the trust of women in our footwear, and they expect the same quality and fit and performance that they get from their golf footwear and the apparel that we're going to offer. I think we're going to do that, and from the reception that we've had at the show so far, I would say that we're on the right track.
Well, as you mentioned, in business for over a century, that's just incredible, and still to this day the #1 shoe in golf. How have you managed to really ride the waves of the industry and have such incredible staying power?
That's a great question. I think there's probably 4 values or aspects to the brand that have made us what we are and why we've been so successful. The first is that we're a golf brand and only a golf brand. Where many of our competitors are basically see the category as an adjunct to some of their other businesses, for us that's all we do. It's a focus that every individual that's in the FootJoy organization is basically dedicated to making sure that we're satisfying golfers' needs. So that's first. I think the other thing is that the vertical manufacturing that I talked about. We like to make what we sell whenever we can. Now we can't do that with all of our products, and not every category is made in our own factories, but wherever we can, having our own people making it, that's a huge point of difference, I think, from people who just buy and sell their products. The third thing is taking risks. When you're a brand that's over 100 years old, we fight, I guess, the idea that it's a legendary brand, and we fight the resistance to change, and we fight the aversion to risk. So we encourage mistakes. So I think that's kept the brand fresh, innovative, and as relevant today as it was 100 years ago. And the last thing is our people. One thing about FootJoy is that we tend to hold people, and so when you hold on to your people, you hold on to their knowledge, and as their knowledge grows, the knowledge base, if you will, of the entire organization grows with it. If you look at that throughout the organization, that's a huge knowledge base that we are able to apply every day and simply add to. So those are the 4 factors I think that make FootJoy what it is and why we're different.
Finally, what are you most excited about when it comes to the brand looking ahead to 2016?
we're introducing a concept called Body Track by FootJoy, which is a new way of measuring the way the swing is influenced by footwear. So we're eventually going to be able to match footwear to the actual individual user's footprint, if you will. Everybody has their own swing characteristics, and everybody shifts weight in a different way. But when you start to do the analysis, which we have the tools to do now, we think we're going to be able to match the footwear to the needs of the golfer and actually improve performance, which is an amazing thing when you think about footwear being an actual performance tool. But I do think that's going to be a major change in the way we move forward. And for 2016, our introduction of this technology is certainly a major part of the effort.